Hello, beautiful, beautiful, sensitive souls. Welcome to Surviving to Thriving, where we address how to move from struggle and just surviving in a world that's too big, too fast, too busy, too loud, just too much overall, to a place of calm and actually thriving as highly sensing people. I'm your host and high sensory coach, Tammy Goen, and I'm so glad you're here as always. And this month, I've been talking about relationships, and I'm going to revisit the idea of relationships with ourselves by talking about creating a supportive environment for ourselves in a variety of scenarios. And as I like to start with a quote, I found one that was really moving for me today by Joseph Campbell. And as I always recommend, if you can take just a moment to close your eyes and just really let this soak in and let it resonate with you. People say that what we're all seeking is a meaning for life. I don't think that's what we're really seeking. I think what we're seeking is an experience of being alive, so that our life experiences on the purely, purely physical plane will have resonance within our own innermost being and reality, so that we can actually feel the rapture of being alive. I'm thinking that Joseph Campbell was probably a highly sensing person. But this just really resonates with me, especially this line of having resonance within our own innermost being and reality, so that we actually feel the rapture of being alive. I think that's so perfect for highly sensing folks, because if we are really in tune with our sensitivity and who we are as a person, as a highly sensing person, and we are okay with that and we honor that and we are true to ourselves, then we have that resonance with everything else that's on this plane. And we really can not only thrive, but we can connect with that place of rapture, of really having passion and taking the utmost of everything out of life. So I just really think this is such a perfect quote for us. I might just like hang it on the wall somewhere, I think, because it really resonated with me today. So again, if we can really pay attention to our innermost experiences, our reality within, and honor that, and let that be our driving force, then we can certainly thrive. So looking at creating a harmonious, resonant environment for ourselves within our relationship with ourselves, let's start talking about when we are in a work environment. And sometimes we have a lot of control, sometimes we don't have a lot, sometimes we work for others, sometimes we work for ourselves. And those all have different parameters involved, of course. But it all really comes down to sharing our needs, being aware of and honoring, and then sharing our needs with everyone. So if we have a situation in which we have a boss, we have management, someone who's in charge, excuse me, that's above us, so to speak, with our job description, then there are opportunities, or we can create opportunities for making sure that with those folks, that our needs are, that they become aware and that they are understood and maybe even hopefully met. So we can get that support that we really deserve and that we need. So there can be a lot of different challenging situations at work. We can have the direct physical environment of sound and light and energy and just chaos, all kinds of things happening all around us all at once, all the time. We can have the kind of the expectations and the criticism that can come from coworkers or management. We can have reactions to just the general milieu, the energy of what that room is like, or multiple rooms, whatever the office situation is. Of course, if we look at something like an open office scenario where everyone has cubicles and you can hear everything on the whole floor, that's usually a nightmare pretty much for anyone who's highly sensing. A lot of other people too, I'm sure, but especially for us. So do you have a space that's just yours that you can go to? You have an individual office space, or do you have a lot of shared space that you don't have a lot of control over? So those things are factors sometimes we can't mitigate completely, but if we have ways of stepping in and saying, hey, these are some needs how can I get them met within that work environment, it can be very, very helpful. So we can ask for adjustments as needed, as appropriate, by explaining what will help. So if we can focus with management in particular on the bottom line and explain that certain things will help us to function better, have better productivity, if we have them in a certain way, so that it doesn't seem like we're complaining or contradicting anyone's prescription for how things are supposed to work, but we can say, hey, these things will work better. So some things that we can use specifically, some terms would be giving, specific suggestions and specifics like, so what would really help with me to increase productivity in this situation is, and then you fill in the blank. So rather than saying, oh, this isn't working very well for me, and then leaving it to someone to figure out, well, what would work, and then probably not putting that energy into solving that issue. If we can say, this is what would work for me, then that will help them. And then another example might be, one thing I think is affecting the overall morale in the office is whatever that is. And then even if you have a suggestion for how to correct that, that obviously is going to help you as well, then you can offer that so that there's something to work with. Now, it's possible to get your needs met in a variety of situations, including work, by just explaining what those needs are, or saying, hey, as in that example, if I have this, or if things are set up this way, that will really benefit myself and probably other people, really help the bottom line by increasing my productivity because these things are getting in the way. And we can do those things rather generically, if you will, just paying attention to what our needs are, but without using any kind of label or using the term of high sensitivity. If we choose to, though, and you're comfortable with that, we can address it by saying, hey, this is a part of me. I am wired this way. I'm a highly sensing person, and provide some kind of articles, some data, even some kind of research article, perhaps, that explains what that's about, and maybe even provide an inventory that lets the person that you're talking with know what does that mean exactly. And you can say, oh, these are some of the things that, is my experience in life. So you understand what my reactions are sometimes in the workplace. And these are how I can mitigate some of these things if I have these things in place. And then they have something to work with. And you can do that without demeaning yourself or even really explaining yourself, other than saying, hey, this is the way I'm wired. I'm not left-handed, I'm right-handed, or maybe you are left-handed, either way. But, just like that, I am a highly sensing person. I'm wired this way. And these are the things that will really help me shine. So if we focus on it in that way of, how can I be my best employee or my best person at work, my best colleague, rather than saying, oh, I have these limitations or these special needs, it will come across much better, and we'll be in a much stronger place of empowerment to say, hey, I'm just stepping in to let you know this will help a lot. These things are challenging and not working so well, but I can see how these will work much, much better. And then when we're working with other people, we have our other colleagues, or even with those who might be in a, I don't like the term higher and lower, but if you have if your organization has you over somebody, again, I'm trying to figure out something else to say other than that, but if you're working with a team that you are leading, then this can come up as well. So we have this tendency to want everyone to be happy with us, not have any toes stepped on, to everyone to be okay and everything to flow. It doesn't always work that way. But if we pay attention to what's important to us, and then address those things that are going to affect the greater group, then we can get our needs met by meeting the needs of the group as well. So one thing to be aware of as well when working with other people is paying attention to that energy, and not putting your energy toward those who are just going to suck your energy down. If you want to call them energy vampires, you can, look at them that way, or just people who tend to trigger you. So you spend a lot of time either explaining yourself or trying to come to your defense or trying to solve a situation. that seems like it was created that wasn't necessary. Whatever those things are happening, if that happens a lot with certain people, we can try to, if we can, avoid more time spent with those folks, or maybe it means addressing something directly with management if someone is working with you on a team or something, and those energies are just really not helping. But if we can try to just minimize that contact, sometimes that is helpful. And letting go of that need to make sure that every single person in that group or in the committee or in your team is happy with you. First, happy in general. We can't make everyone happy all the time. Everyone has all the stuff going on with their lives that we have no idea about. But we also don't need to make them happy with us in particular. And we're not likely to ever have that happen where everyone is always happy with us, no matter what we say or do. And especially if we're standing up for ourselves and not cowing to others, we're going to have some people that maybe are not going to be very happy with it. And that's just the reality. But if we stand up for ourselves and say, okay, this is not working for me. And ultimately, if it's not working for you, it's probably not going to work for the greater group, because there's going to be some, disconnect or discontent or something. But oftentimes some of the stuff that by the time we are addressing it is something that is pertinent to the whole group. So getting to that place where, again, we can honor ourselves and say, this is who I am, these are my needs, and then this is how I share it with other people. And then if we look at like physical space, and again, hopefully you're not in an open office situation, but do you have a place that you can go if you don't have your own office where you can shut the door? I mean, if you have that, great, then you can take your breaks and your time to just take care of you and move away from whatever's happening in the bigger office area. But if you don't have that, if you have some place and literally you could find a little closet somewhere that's not being used, or an unused office, or a space behind the kitchen, or if none of that is available. I was talking with someone this morning when I was being interviewed who mentioned that a friend of hers is highly sensing, and whenever she goes to the family events, she will get to a certain point and she will just remove herself into the bathroom, lock the door, and just be in there for 15 minutes and give her that time to just regroup, calm herself down, and then she can rejoin the family later. So often that's almost the only option in a work environment as well. If there is really nowhere that you can go, but you are just feeling overwhelmed and there's just so much going on, removing yourself to the bathroom for a little while might be an option. But if there's some place that you can actually go to so that you have that ability to calm and regroup, so that you can interact and interface with everyone from a more calm place, then that's likely to improve things quite a bit, of course. And then finally, on the work realm, if we're looking at all of these scenarios I've been talking about with management and employees and all of that, is a little bit of a different experience than if you run your own business. So if you are self-employed and you are a solopreneur, like in my case, just one person, and you don't have all of that to manage, that can be really helpful, which is often why for highly sensing people, being a solopreneur is a really good match. There's a lot of things that factor in that aren't part of working for someone that can be stressful, but we have a lot of control over our environment and over how things run because we're it. So if you are in that situation, it is important to remember that it's still good to delegate things or to share with other people or to ask for help, so that you're not doing it 100% of the time. And you really do take care of you first still, even though you're responsible for everything. If it's just you and it's your business, you still need to start with you and take care of you so that you have the energy and the bandwidth to do all of those things. But see if you can try to get help with some of those things, get a VA or hire someone to do something that you like at the very least of your business. Just hire that out. Just do something for yourself instead of saying that you have to take care of all of it because it's your business. If it's your business and you have employees, then it's really important still to be delegating and letting people do their jobs and not trying to do it all yourself for them, but also to have certain limits and understandings that are very clear so people don't override or step on your toes or do whatever is going to trigger you. Be very aware of what those things are and establish that at the beginning, letting people know this is okay, this is not okay. And you don't have to say anything about being highly sensing or that you have certain needs. You can just structure things because it's your business, right? You can structure things in that way that resonates from that place of honoring without feeling guilty or selfish, because it might be different than someone else, different way than someone else would do it. But it's your choice, it's your business. So that's one of the reasons that solopreneur idea usually works really well for highly sensing people, because of that level of control and the ability to create that environment, create that scenario that actually resonates and works. It's not always possible, but when it is, it has a lot of perks. Okay, so moving on to our social situations. And if we're trying to honor ourselves, have a good relationship with ourselves, wanting to have good relationships with everyone else, we get in these social situations sometimes where it's hard for us to say no. It's hard for us sometimes to make decisions. And so we will tend to defer to others so that people aren't waiting for us to make a decision, because sometimes it takes a little while for us. There are a lot of things that we can give into or not be strong in who we are in ourselves in social situations so that we can avoid some of that discomfort or awkwardness. But again, it's really, really key to be strong in ourselves and recognize that in order to be like in any situation, in any relationship, to the best person that you want to be for others or for the social situation, you need to take care of yourself first. So when we look at things like others' expectations or their demands, it's perfectly fine and healthy to be able to say to someone, you know what, that doesn't resonate for me. It might be really great for you, but it doesn't work for me. Or I'm feeling really pressured right now to make a decision or to agree with everyone or to agree with you. Whatever it is that seems really demanding or pushy, some impatience and that expectation, being able to just address that from a really neutral place, not in a negative or pushy or defensive way even, but just being able to say, yeah, this isn't working for me. And then be able to share what you would need instead or what you would prefer instead. So if someone is saying, you take too long to make decisions, so I'm just going to make the decision, we're going to go here for dinner. Instead of saying, okay, well, yeah, I didn't come up with another alternative, so we'll just go with that. But it really doesn't resonate for you. Maybe it's too loud, too busy. Maybe you don't really like that food. Maybe you're tired of going there. Whatever the reason, if it doesn't resonate for you, just going along with it to keep the flow is really ultimately not the best thing, because there can be some, resentment building eventually. There can just be that level of overwhelm or not taking care of you that is going to come back and haunt later. So really being able to say that, these are my needs and this isn't working for me, even though I'm sure it's perfectly great, for you and maybe everyone else in the group, but not for me. And really being able to check in with ourselves to know what that is. So sometimes someone will say, hey, we're getting together tonight, we're doing this, this, and this, and we want you to come along. And you want to spend time with those people, but there's something there that just doesn't feel warm and fuzzy for you. It doesn't feel yummy, right? It's something that is telling you, that's not resonating for me. And maybe you don't even know why, but if you sit with it for a little while and say, okay, I have my own needs, I have my own view. What's going on here for me? What am I sensing? What am I feeling? When we give ourselves that time, we can learn to see if we get that message of, oh, right, the last time we went to this particular place, this happened. And it seems to be kind of a frequent thing. And as soon as I get there, I'm on edge. Okay, so maybe looking at that saying, okay, so if everyone is really committed to doing that, then we can send them on their merry way and say, I will catch up with you next time, but I don't like going to this restaurant or location, and allowing them to do that. Or we could say, oh, you know what? I really want to spend time with you guys. I would love to do the dinner thing, but could we pick a different restaurant because, that one doesn't work for me, or that reminds me of, the last time we were there, this happened, and I don't want to revisit that. Whatever it is, you can make that clear, and then set that limit, ask for that piece that will help you participate. And if they're willing to do that, great. And if they're not, then you can step out and say, okay, well, have a great time, and I will see you next time. And that might be disappointing, but ultimately it's really better than going along anyway and spending the whole time being frustrated or awkward or tense or wishing that you had made a different decision. Whatever it is, it's not going to be as fulfilling as probably what you end up doing on your own, not in the group. So again, it's just so important to be honoring what that reaction is. Like in that quote from when I started this morning, or Joseph Campbell, that if we really pay attention to what is inside and honor and be authentic with that, then we get to experience that outer world at such an more amazing place, more amazing experience. So if we are honoring what that is, even in a social situation where we say, yeah, that doesn't resonate, but this would be really, really great. And then you can have that experience at a much higher level than if you just made yourself deal with it because that's what everybody else wanted. Okay, so just like with the other, the work piece, we can share with others, especially if they're just acquaintances, maybe you know them a little bit, they're not really close friends, and you don't want to be seen as someone with a label, like, oh, that's the highly sensitive person. I mean, hopefully you wouldn't get that response, but it's possible. So we don't have to use those labels all the time. So if you are in a social situation, you don't have to say, hey, I'm a highly sensitive person. That means I need this, this, and this because I experience things, this way. You don't have to say all of that, but you can still share what it is that you need. You can still say, hey, the way things work for me, or in my experience, when I'm in this situation, it's really challenging because, and be really clear with what the needs are and what you would like to replace. If you can have an example anytime that you're trying to share with others, or come up with an alternative plan if you've thought about it for a little while and say, hey, this one doesn't work, but how about this one? That always helps things to move along a little bit, rather than just saying this doesn't work, but I don't know what else to do. But at least being in that place where you can acknowledge that and share what those needs are and ask for what you want, and then commit to yourself. If you get that support and what you want, then great, go for it. And if not, then it's probably time to take a little step back and readjust. And maybe that's adjusting the people that you're going to be hanging out with, or the types of activities that you join. Maybe you go with this group to these kinds of things, but anything with this many people, you're just going to opt out of. And you can explain that to people and say, hey, I'm not antisocial. I'm not choosing to not hang out with you. I really would like to, but these situations just really don't work for me. And that could be really uncomfortable sometimes if we're really wanting to be with folks, especially if you happen to be an extrovert. 30% of us are extroverts, and I can say I'm totally an introvert, but I can imagine being an extrovert. You're wanting to put yourself out there, you're wanting that contact all the time, you're wanting that more activity and being around some of those energies, but it can still be a lot. And so sometimes you're going to get to the end of the day and say, wow, I do not have enough energy to go enjoy myself in this situation. I'm going to be drained when I get home, or I'm going to just not be the person I want to be, etc. And so still being able to set those limits and be able to opt out sometimes, and acknowledge that even though you really, really want to do that, if you're honoring who you are and your needs, it's not a good time. So just listening to that. And so finally, if we're looking at family in terms of creating our resonant environment and helping that with having that help our relationships, Again, it's really important to share our needs. It's all about sharing needs, being aware, honoring, and then sharing what our needs are. And that's not just for highly sensing people, of course, but it's that much more important for us because of where our focus is and how much meaning we give to everything and how easily we can get overwhelmed. So when we are in our families, like that example that I gave a little bit ago, sometimes things will just get really busy, really a lot, and we need to have a break. So whether it's removing yourself to the bathroom for 15 minutes or going to walk around the block or finding a quiet room somewhere else, in the house or wherever it is that you're gathering, being able to give yourself that permission to do that is key. But then also being able to voice that to others so they understand why you might disappear for a little while, once in a while, and let them know it's like, hey, I mean, if you've brought this up with the family, they know you're a highly sensing person, then you can just say, hey, with my sensitivities, I'm about here and I want to be here for everyone. So I'm going to go take my break and then come back and, have that be on the up and up, if you will, not a secret thing. But if it's not something that you've talked with your family about and you don't know how that will go over and you haven't taken that step, it's still important to make sure that you get that time away. So sometimes it is a matter of just, okay, I'm just going to disappear into the bathroom for a little while. Or you just say, hey, I'm going to go take a quick walk. You don't have to say anything about it, but just do that and give yourself that time. Because if we sit in a situation that's really overwhelming for us or that just doesn't resonate and we just push through and just do it to make everyone happy, it really just doesn't work very well. We're not the person that we want to be. We're not engaged like we want to be. And then we get home and we're just wiped out. So paying attention to that, even in a family situation, anytime that you have that option is really important. And then being able to have the dialogues with your family. So being able to say things like, I realize this isn't a big deal for you, but for me, it's like this. And what would really be good is, and then, give an example of something that would help for you. Or be able to say, when this happens, I feel whatever, and this is what I need. And that might be, I feel completely overwhelmed, or I feel ganged up on, or I feel whatever it is that you're experiencing, just being able to share that with everyone. And then maybe you say, and I'm going to go take a break so I can regroup. Or maybe you say, what I'd really like is if we could, table this conversation and talk about something that's, much more uplifting, or whatever it is that your needs are, voicing those out. And then having that conversation, you can do this, of course, one-on-one with people. And sometimes in the group, it's good to just remind people, it's like, hey, for me, this is what my experience right now. And I don't expect you to understand that, but I just want you to know, what is it like for you? And actually open it up as a dialogue so that they feel accepted and that you're trying to understand, even though you might not see things exactly the same. And then they might be more likely to work with you on that as well. And then, as with everything that I've mentioned, again, maintaining your boundaries, even if someone's going to be disappointed or there's going to be some pushback, because that can definitely happen when you start setting those boundaries. And in families, usually we have a little bit more opportunity to be sharing what it's like to be highly sensing and making sure people understand that. But sometimes people will say, yeah, if I say that, people are going to be on me all the time. So we don't have to use that label. We don't have to use that term, but we still need to be really clear with what our needs are. Okay, I know that was all a lot, and I start talking and then I just have all of these different things to add in, and it becomes much more than I had anticipated, but hopefully that was all very helpful in terms of creating that environment, that space that really resonates for you as a highly sensing person, by honoring who you are and building that relationship with yourself so that you can put that out to everyone else. And as always, it's been really lovely having you here, and thank you for joining me on this journey toward thriving. I'd love to talk directly with you, so feel free to just reach out. You can connect with me on Linktree is usually the best, or you can just send me an email, Tammy@CoachTammyGoen.com. And next month, I'll be addressing HSPs and the workplace and leadership. And I have a couple of really amazing guests that are in the queue, so I'm really excited about that. I hope you have an amazing day. and I will see you next time.